It's a trap.
It actually is a trap.
It's a trap.
I will not show my independence, and I will not be making my own decisions.
In 2009, a bipartisan Congress created the Center for Tobacco Products at the FDA, and then the president signed us into law. And no, the fact that Congress and the president agreed on something is not what was historic. It was that for the first time ever, FDA, since the time we were established in 1906, we're really the gold standard agency to make sure that every product you put on or in your body is safe and effective.
Bullshit. The FDA is expanding a recall of a popular blood pressure drug over concern it may contain an unwanted ingredient that can cause cancer.
Tonight, for people on medication to treat high blood pressure, the Food and Drug Administration is recalling several drugs that contain an ingredient, valsartan. That drug includes an agent that could cause cancer.
Pfizer recalls its popular anti-smoking drug Chantix over a possible cancer risk.
The recall was secondary to some unknown quantities of a chemical called NMDA. We do know that it can cause direct liver injury.
Now to the Food and Drug Administration and to questions of regulation. The salmonella outbreak and the major egg recall have raised questions once again about whether an agency charged with regulating drugs and food can adequately do its job.
I can share that, at least from where FDA's perspective is, we would prefer to not have kids on the continuum of risk, if at all possible. But we recognize that's not possible because kids are kids, and there's many, many, many reasons why they choose to do different types of things. If we get asked a specific question by a teen, either a direct message to us or via social media about the relative harms of vaping versus cigarettes, we try to be as clear as possible that if your comparator is a cigarette, vaping is less harmful. As kids are incredibly smart. I'm sure both of these gentlemen, I'm sure, see that, and they have a crap detector a mile wide. We have not tried to tackle that directly in any of our proactive messaging, but when we get questions specifically in social or direct message, that's when we have that one-on-one dialogue.
The FDA today calling it a dangerous epidemic.
The FDA calls teen vaping an epidemic.
Epidemic?
Vaping is not as harmful as smoking.
You suck.
Hola, ¿cómo está? Hello and welcome. Welcome to the show. I'm here. Kevin's here. I'm still limping. I had an MRI this week, and I'm not even going to get to see the surgeon doctor guy, the orthopedic guy, until next Thursday. So I'm on crutches and then hobbling around like an old broken up man. But anyway, welcome to the show. How is everybody doing? I see Mallory. Oh, Peggy, the beautiful and lovely and very nice Miss Peggy is here. And Addie's here, but Addie's changed his name to Toonie219 for some reason. And our very good friend from across the pond, Richard Pruin, is here. And Raj is here. And there's a couple people watching over on the Rumble. I don't know who those are. Those could be some of these people that are watching. I don't know. But anyway, there's people here. That's all we need. We need people here to hear our fun voices and be entertained and educated. I heard one of the clips that we're going to play later on. They use the word edutainment, so we're going to edutain you tonight with some stuff. But anyway, let me get Kevin in here. Kevin is chomping at the bit to point at all of you.
I'm in no mood, mister.
Point at him, Kevin. Point.
I'm in no mood, buddy.
No, you're in no mood. You're in no mood.
Dad, he changed his name, and that's going to confuse me for the rest of the night.
It is. We're old and we don't learn. We don't learn very efficiently, and that's not good for us.
Well,
but anyway, what have you been doing this week, young man?
I've decided that Logan is way smarter than me. He's watching these little dog cat video things. He likes those now. So on the refrigerator, it's related. We have a dog magnet. So he was watching dogs turn around and chase their tails, and then he was making the magnet turn and chase his tail. But now that's pretty brilliant.
Well, see, sadly or oddly enough, I was bored because I can't really do shit. So I was watching dog videos as well.
Did you chase your tail?
No. These were more sad dog videos. These are there's this guy. He has a channel and he goes to animal shelters and he sits and emotionally bonds with the shelter dogs. And it's a show or I don't know what podcast, a show or whatever you want to call it, called Sitting with Dogs.
Okay.
And it's you get a little bit misty, but I'm like, damn, where is it? Because they had some cane corso. Are you familiar with the cane corso dog? It's a huge, like, mastiff sized dog, and somebody had starved one and had then given it to two of them to the pound. And one of them was adopted immediately, but the other one was veterinary. I'm like, where's that dog? I'll feed that dog. Bring him to me. I want that.
Like children. I didn't think you liked dogs because you don't like children.
No, I like dogs. I like dogs way better than humans.
Way better. All right. Okay.
Yeah, no. But I was like, give that dog to me.
Yeah.
I will feed it and make it eat my neighbor's car because they're huge. I mean, not my neighbor's car. They're pretty okay, my neighbors. But anywho, have you been doing anything on the webs this week, Kevin? Have you noticed anything? Any trends? Anything other than your X post of the week? But anything else that you saw this week?
I saw some interesting things. I saw the 22nd century is taking a fast dive to the bottom again.
Well, we covered that like a month ago when they announced that they were restructuring, and now they've partnered with some sort of Wall Street like guru guy to try to save their company.
I'm just very concerned about all the people in 2017 that promoted this to be something that they needed to have done as quickly as possible. Well, and now it's shit the bed.
See, now I did see some people tweeting and blasting Zeller about the whole thing.
Well,
I put this firmly at the feet of Scott Gottlieb because he is the one that started the whole jibber jabber about reducing the nicotine levels in cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And I believe that he was the one that greenlit the check for the massive amount of money. Not that I'm saying that the Mid Zeller's a good guy or anything.
No, he liked them too.
I firmly believe that was Scott Gottlieb, and I mean I have no proof, but I would love to get a look at his retirement savings accounts and his stock holdings to see where he has money, because 22nd Century was really cheap to buy for a long time, and then their price went way up, not super high, but it did increase in value really rapidly when it was announced that FDA was buying millions and millions and millions of dollars of these damn cigarettes.
Ain't that neat?
Yeah. But anywho, did you see, I spend a lot of time like throughout the week, a couple times a week, I'll go do a Google to find what stories are being told. And earlier this week, and it's still continuing, it's still trickling, but earlier, not to make fun of trickling, but we're going to,
Ed, we're sorry.
It's like shooting pool with a piece of rope.
That is where
there is a story that was reported probably 100 times this week by different media outlets, and this is again, we talked about a couple weeks ago how they were saying that if boys use nicotine, that it affects the DNA of any offspring that they, that they may have later, But this week, I'm saying that they're saying that you probably can't even have offspring if you use nicotine, because according to this story, this is one of the first ones. This is from the New York Post, but it was circulated amongst many news sites this week. Vaping can shrink your testicles and cause sperm counts to plummet, says
I call this
research.
The prune
so
theory.
I'm wondering, since the study we talked about 2 weeks ago says that boys will send horrible, DNA changes to their offspring, but now this one's saying you may not even be able to have offspring, Kevin.
Well, now, I'm one of 7 children that we know of from my father, who smoked at like 9 years old.
Male e-cigarette users that we know of. Now, is your dad kind of rumored to have been more
he was rumored.
randy or something? And
he was rumored. I just told this story the other night to one of our friends.
It was rumored?
But we're driving through Gardner, Massachusetts, and everybody said, everybody's fine. And then my mother looks over at my father and says, do you want to stop and see her? And he said, see who? And she said, you know who? Who had a son named Larry.
Uh-oh.
Well, yeah, I don't know. That we know of. 7.
Oh, dear Lord.
Offspring. 7.
That's possible. So, 7. Yeah.
Take a moment of silence for Addie.
Wow.
I don't.
Poor Addie. Well, every time I see a ginger now, I'm going to go, is that Kevin's brother or sister?
Well, there's only 2 of us that are.
Are all of your? Oh.
2. My sister and I, from my mother's side. Yeah. The boys are all.
That picture of your brother that you. That picture of your brother that you showed, the one that sings country music, he looks kind of gingery.
No, well, it's you could highlight it at any certain time in the sun, maybe, but no. They were all blonde. There were 5 little blondes and a red head.
Anyway, well, let's see. Male e-cigarette users are losing more than their tobacco habit. New research on male rats has shown that vaping can shrink the size of testicles, hampering sex drive and reducing sperm count. Turkish scientists took readings at the rat's testicle size before and after exposing the animals to cigarette smoke and e-cigarette vapors, as well as identifying biomarkers of stress in the blood and genital. Well, I tell you, if somebody picked you up and sort of pulled out a pair of calipers to measure the size of your nuts, you might be stressed, Kev. I'm just saying.
I might.
I mean, just think of a big giant lifted the roof of your house and picked you up and pulled out some tools and started measuring your stuff. That probably would affect your stress level in your genitals,
among other things.
Yeah. And yet the impact of conventional cigarette smoke, as previous studies suggest, is even worse on the male organ.
Never had an effect.
Researchers confirmed the sperm count of rats exposed to e-cigarette vapor was 95.1 million sperm per milliliter, compared to 98.5 million per milliliter in the group that was not exposed to nicotine. So you're losing about 3 million swimmers, Kevin.
Good God, now I'm nervous.
Yeah.
And so
however,
should the be.
Now, they didn't put the smoker numbers in there, but they said they were worse. And you still propagated yourself, so I mean, maybe the 3 million swimmers that are missing are the slow swimmers anyway.
There you go.
Maybe. But anyway, however, the group of rats exposed to cigarette smoke had the lowest. Why am I keep getting Sam's ads? However, the group of rats exposed to cigarette smoke had the lowest of all three counts with 89 million sperms per milliliter. Their testes also measured the smallest and weighed less than the rats exposed to e-cigarette vapor, as well as the control group. So what they should be telling people is don't smoke because that's really going to fuck up your swimmers. And vaping is better than than that.
Yeah. But
3 million swimmers less, man. But when you're talking about millions. Well, no, I mean, it only takes one, right?
Well,
it only takes one good swimmer to get to the finish line.
I'm just thinking all these experts like playing with rat testicles. That's all. That's all I can think.
Well, I mean, we really need to get Phil in here to talk about this because he is this.
Was that Phil or was that Vlad? I got a picture of Vlad doing. It's probably high up on my Twitter. I don't think that was Phil.
Well, Raj says that Phil commented about this, and he had a picture of a rat with balls almost as big as him, and he said, "I'm all good." All right,
I'll find it. Hang
on. Yeah,
I'll find the one I did.
Let me keep, while you're doing that. It should be considered that although e-cigarette liquid has been introduced as harmless in smoking cessation studies, it could increase oxidative stress and cause morphological changes in the testicle. I mean, really, are you putting the vape? I mean, how is it? I'm just one. There's all sorts of other organs that it could affect between here and there. I'm just trying to figure out how it got there.
Right.
Just saying. Researchers wrote in their report published this month in the Spanish language journal Revista Internacional de Andrologia.
No idea.
My Spanish isn't as good as I think it is. In 2020, Danish research also found that men who use e-cigarettes daily had a significant lower total sperm count than non-vapors, but authors of the study say more human data is needed to support these findings, as e-cigarettes have been touted as an effective method to help people. If you're dying of cigarette smoking, Kev, and you have the option to keep smoking or to find a way to quit smoking, and one of them might reduce your spermy count a little bit, but you won't die.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that you have to weigh things here.
And you got to take both hands with both balls for these little rats. And how many of these people are actually trying to conceive, and who cares if they're not?
Well, I mean, I'm sure if you practice makes perfect. That's all I can say,
But if you take 100 of us men and say, how many of you are actively trying to produce a child? And there's 3. Now you take the 3 and you do this.
Well,
then
I mean,
go, well, okay, that's kind of worth it. But when you take 50,000 rats and do this, then
statistically now, Kevin, if you take 100 men, so 10 of those guys are going to be gay, and can't produce offspring, so that leaves you 90. And now they're saying that there's a 5% non-binary or whatever, so you remove them, so now you're down to 85.
Okay. All right.
Now, if you're in the reproductive age group, maybe 30% of those guys are wanting to reproduce. I wouldn't say 3.
And then half of them don't have partners. So come on.
Well,
right. Yeah. I know it becomes so minute that they're as small as rat balls. The information we're providing is as small as rat balls. Where's my fucking?
So now what we need to do for a human, I'm suggesting science for these human scientists. I'm not doing this myself, but okay, you go out and find 100 guys in that age category that that are in their reproductive age group, right?
Yeah.
100 of them. Then you add, and they have to be vapors or smokers.
Mm-hmm.
Now you know, and probably should have a partner, whether that's
saying.
married or not, and then say, okay, now all y'all go out and do the deed, and come back here in 3 months, and we want to see how many of your wives are pregnant.
Here's a cup.
Or your partners.
Right. Yeah.
And then we'll see. I mean, that's a real world, and then you can have 100 non-vapor smokers in that same age category, same group that want to have offspring, and send them out and say, come back in 3 months and see how many of you are knocked up, and then you can then you have a
guideline,
compare and contrast,
a post or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, you have a control group and then a study group, and let's see in the real world how having 3 million less spermies actually matters.
I just can't. Now I'm concerned about Bruni's balls. I can't. This is why I roll my fucking eyes all the time at some of this stuff that I read. And first of all, we have to trust things that say mice too sometimes. So we can't be biased about the mice thing. But if it's mice, it's mice. We're not rats. We're not mice.
I don't trust anything that says rats or mice or monkeys.
I'd like to show Vlad's balls real quick, if you don't.
I mean, I'm not going to get struck for this, right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
You need to rub that to make it bigger.
Vlad, is that big enough? Is his balls big enough for everybody to see? This was in response or quote whatever the fuck tweet to Sir Didymus, because somebody's obsessing about his balls as well. And then this is about something completely different from whenever the fuck ago it was. And then I said, hey, Vlad, do you need some ice? Because I saw something that said something about swelling balls or something. And he said, I'm good. So anyway, there you go. There. Now we got the rat balls in the show. It's official. Thank you.
Yeah. So to be a safe option in smoking cessation studies, its effect on people needs to be enlightened, they concluded. An estimated 12 million adults use e-cigarettes, while millions more children and teens have been added to the vaping population despite age restrictions. I don't know why there's a picture. I guess that's just showing
fertilization.
I guess this egg is supposed to be the left egg is supposed to be a non-smoker ball, and the right is a
So now, what's the title of this piece of shit article that they call journalism?
That vaping can shrink testicles.
And it's vaping, not nicotine, technically, right?
It says vaping. It specifically says vaping right there. Yeah, but they did specifically in the body of the thing say that smoking was worse. Smoking was worse, but that didn't make the headline. Right. So
the only two things that are the same between smoking and vaping are the nicotine itself.
Yes. Well, I'm sure there are some byproducts that occur in the process that maybe coincide with each other, but I don't have the actual studies open right now.
But they didn't say anything about anybody with a patch, the gum, the lozenge, or any other nicotine product.
No, because it specifically says right on the package, do not apply these to your genitals.
Good point. Damn it. Okay, there I'm better.
That would hurt. I mean, that'd be like what do they call that? A Brazilian waxing?
I wouldn't even wish that on Ed. Ed's been through some shit. I don't know what they call it. I don't want to know, Patrick.
You don't know what they call that when you get your taint? Your taint waxed?
I've never had my taint waxed. I don't believe that I ever will. And you can't make me.
But they do that. I mean, I don't know what it's called though. But, I'm sure one of our adventurous people.
Oh, go ahead, name one. Go ahead, I dare you.
One of the adventurous people in in the chat room might know the name of it. I mean, I'm not judging anybody.
Don't do that. Anywhere but.
Yeah, don't do that.
No but.
No but. No but. All right. So apparently, Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg, was granted an award this week. Now, I got to call BS on this, but we'll go. I mean, I don't like Mark Zuckerberg. Don't get me wrong, but okay. So it says here, this is the Australian Medical Association, because the address says AU, but it says here, big tobacco and social media called out undermining vaping control. See, now it's not only tobacco control, now they want a vaping control.
Of course they do.
So British American Tobacco and Meta, which is Facebook, has been dishonorably distinguished with a Dirty Ashtray Award and the inaugural Exploding Vape Award for undermining Australia's tobacco and vaping control strategies. So there's a picture of a purple thing. It looks like Grimace with a hat and a cigarette.
I think it's Twix.
and there's your awards for Facebook and Meta.
I think that's a lung, if I remember correctly.
Is it a lung? Because it looks like Grimace. It does look. It looks kind of like Grimace. But anyway, the AMA president was in Perth this week to present the awards, an annual event with the Australian Council on Smoking and Health. British American Tobacco, the force behind Responsible Vaping Australia, received its award for initiating and financing a concerted AstroTurf campaign to undermine public health policy on vaping in Australia. So Meta, the owners of Facebook and Instagram, Threads, and WhatsApp, won its award for failing to enforce its own policy, which bans the promotion of tobacco and nicotine products on its platform. It also bans any vape advocacy, any scientific. If I were to create a post on Smoke Free Radio and share in a paid promotion, share a study that says vaping is safer than smoking, or that vaping helps people quit smoking, Meta would immediately say, nope, we will not share your shit. We will not spread it around. You are banished from promoting your your thing. So ACOSH co-CEO Laura Hunter said RVA is a front for British American Tobacco and wants vapes available in retail settings. I don't want to say that I agree with big tobacco, but I want vapes available in retail settings for adults that want to use them. And I would prefer that the Australian government find a way to enforce the laws that they already have in hand to prevent young people from having those products. Nobody here, is promoting young children from starting vaping if they've not smoked, but you do have the authority to prevent that from happening. But call me crazy, they're not doing it.
They don't want to.
We're not doing it. They're not doing it in the UK. They're not doing it pretty much anywhere.
No.
But y'all do have the authority to make this stop. If it's really that big of a deal, all these countries are, the UK is now doing it. We've been doing it. Australia's using the word epidemic now. And it's so scary and it's awful. And they're spending millions of dollars showing that, you get brain worms or whatever. These are all government, or at least that's a U.S. government thing. Why in the hell wouldn't you just say, you know what, this is important. Tell the police this is an enforcement priority. Go out there and bust some ass. Write some fucking tickets, close some stores down. I mean, that's easy. But it's not really that big of a deal. If it was, they would be doing it. Anyway, hiding behind our VA, British American Tobacco has lobbied governments and co-opted various community sectors and organizations who may be unaware Big Tobacco is behind the AstroTurf lobby campaign. The inaugural Exploding Vape Award exposes those who support and further the message of the tobacco industry. Meta has an unparalleled reach across the virtual world and with it enormous power to influence. In a policy proudly displayed on its website, Meta expressly commits to disallow e-cigarette advertisement or promotion on its platforms. It only takes a few seconds to see this is not being enforced. If an individual posts a picture of them saying, I really like this, that's not a promotion.
No.
Now, if a company did that, then I could say, you know what, that you might not. And don't get me wrong. I know there are plenty of e-liquid companies out there that take a picture of their product and put it on their company website. But if their company website, or not website, their company Facebook profile is age restricted, then kids can't see it anyway, right?
Well, depending on whether or not parenting is an action verb in the home that they may or may not be viewing it in. I don't know.
Are you blaming parents for not doing their job again, Kevin?
No, I'm saying parenting is an action verb.
I think you're saying that parents are doing a bad job, is what I think you're saying.
All right, fuck it. They're doing a bad job. Pay attention to little Johnny, you little bastard.
I mean, really, they are your offspring. It is your responsibility to look over them. I'm not saying, you should spy on them, but spy the fuck on your kids, man. Anyway, Professor Steve Robson said tobacco remains the leading preventable cause of death and disease in Australia, and the evidence of health threats from e-cigarettes continues to grow, hooking younger generations onto an addictive product. I thought those spiders, those big, huge spiders were probably the leading cause of death, or the dingoes, or maybe even the drop bear. Just saying. Big Tobacco is still in business, and we saw its hand attempt to undermine the TGA's recent vaping reform consultation. Hundreds of individual submissions parroted text from an AstroTurf campaign. Now, I have repeatedly told you, I'm doing a cap. I repeatedly told you, politicians, even here, recognize when they receive multiple emails that have the same subject line and the same text, they're going to throw some of those out. So relying on those pre-typed letters that are there on the calls to action, it's not a good strategy, boys and girls.
Think for yourselves. Think for yourselves.
You can use that platform. But you have the ability to highlight all the text and hit delete and type your own text. That's the best way to do it. And you can actually do that yourself without using the platform. Just go to whorepresentsme.com, type in your zip code, and it will give you the names and email addresses of everybody that represents you. And you can send letters directly to their email without using the platform that is being used by organizations. Plus, then you have complete control over any interaction that occurs. I like that better. Hey, Michelle Elliott just arrived.
But public records as well, I believe.
Yes, yeah. The Dirty Ashtray and Exploding Vape Awards illustrates the needs to address unregulated advertisement of nicotine products on social media and stop tobacco industry players from funding political and lobby groups. We in health and our colleagues in tobacco control stand behind the government in their rollout of new tobacco and vaping reforms for the sake of the health of all Australians. Over 100 representatives from the Public Health Coalition fighting to reduce smoking and vaping in Australia attended the breakfast and were joined by Health and Aged Care Minister Mark Butler, and his state counterpart, Amber Jade Sanderson, Minister Butler spoke about the government's next steps for tobacco control legislation. And the World Health Organization defines astroturfing as the faking of a grassroots movement which in reality is controlled by a hidden multinational company or organization, in this case, tobacco and vape companies. Now, what would the World Health Organization call vital strategies, Kevin?
Or exposed tobacco, or the Lung Association, or
those?
Yes, they fucking are. Of course they are.
I mean, we can see exactly who pays all the bills for vital strategies, Kev.
Mm-hmm.
That is a Bloomberg organization.
Non-profit political front group, period. AstroTurf.
But
period.
That would be called AstroTurf by the definition of the World Health Organization.
And let's be honest with ourselves. If tobacco wasn't around, what? And vaping,
be honest with myself,
wasn't around, you'd have about 100 or so idiots in tobacco control out of work. So you got to keep them employed, I guess, for a little longer. Hence the reason they don't enforce the laws.
Yeah.
Among other things.
Other things. I like other things too.
Do you?
Milk comes out of other things.
Michelle. Don't scroll up too far, sweetie, by the way. Just in case.
Michelle, Kevin,
what?
How many times on this show have I mentioned that I used to live in New Orleans?
A few, but enough. For me, I guess.
Michelle apparently didn't realize that I used to live in New Orleans. Because I posted this week in a completely unrelated vaping thread. Somebody had posted, one of my people that I follow, or it was on there. I don't know who it was. I can't remember. Name any famous people that you have met.
Okay.
And I replied, I used to mow Ann Rice's yard.
Okay.
So Michelle then proceeds to go, I didn't know you were from New Orleans, or that you lived in New Orleans.
Michelle, if you haven't bought Patrick's book about him, you need to quickly.
I said, yes, of course. I went to Tulane.
Michelle, shame on you, not knowing.
You guys are supposed to know everything about me by now. I've been on this damn thing for 10 years nearly.
Yeah, but she's only recently joined us.
Oh,
so I'm going to give her a fair pass. I bet she doesn't know where I'm from either.
Speaking of non-related things, I do want everybody to send good vibes to Nick. I give Nick shit sometimes on the show, but his dad is having an exacerbation of his Parkinson's right now, and he's having a bad time, and he had to not do his show this week because his dad is having a bad time. He needed to go take care of his dad, which is, what we're supposed to do. I'm actually certified in neurological rehab, certifiable too, but certified in neurological rehab. And I see a lot of Parkinson's patients. And I know what he's going through, but I did, there are periods of exacerbation. It's not exactly like multiple sclerosis where you have an exacerbation. And there are periods though, where the disease is worse. And if you address it properly, you get the right exercise and stretching in, and you teach strategies on how to combat the tremors. Not all Parkinson's patients have those, but it is one of the more prolific symptoms. But you can improve the quality of life for those patients. And actually, I should email him. I need to email him link. The American Parkinson's Association actually has a 50-page pamphlet on their website showing all of the stretching programs and the exercises that he could be doing with his dad. But anyway, if you're the type to do the prayers, do the prayers. If you're the type to send good vibes, do the good vibes. If nothing else, just comment on like his video this week where he said that he wasn't going to be able to do his video, and send good thoughts to him, because I understand what he's going through. But anyway, before we get all misty-eyed, R Street, Kevin, are you familiar with R Street? You know what R Street is?
I am.
R Street's one of those like think tanky people. They really push like free market solutions and things like that, and
consumer choice,
using your brain and consumer choice and all those things.
My brain? What?
Yes, you got to use your brain, Kev. So this week they published a thing. I think they do this every year. I'm pretty sure I've seen, because they dated this one 2023, right? So
yeah, I don't recall any, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we've done these before with them. But anyway, on August 15th, Brian King, director of the FDA Center for Tobacco Products, acknowledged that there are opportunities for the CTP to educate consumers about the relative risks of tobacco products, which we already have video proof in our intro that we played tonight from Kathy, who was at FDA CTP, but she's now with The Truth, but she was with FDA CTP when she made the comment that they have not done anything at all to educate about the relative risks of various tobacco products, which is what they're saying here, that they obviously, Brian King is saying, oh well, we acknowledge that we've done a piss poor job with that. But anyway, by communicating that some tobacco products carry less risk with them than traditional cigarettes, such as e-cigarette delivery system to ends, heated tobacco products, and oral tobacco products. Actually, they obviously have allowed some communication for HTPs and oral tobacco products, because
snus,
I believe I saw a modified risk tobacco application approval for a snus.
I do believe you're right.
Somewhere in the pipeline of approval. And we obviously know that the HTPs got their modified risk. They got a partial modified risk. They got a modified exposure statement through. But the burden of smoking-related death and disease could be significantly impacted. King acknowledged that the CTP saw opportunities to improve how the FDA communicates the tobacco harm continuum to the public, which is a positive step forward. However, over the last decade, there has been an overwhelming onslaught of misinformation from academics, media outlets, and public health agencies, and even the CTP and the CDC. I mean, they're saying right there that some of their campaigns from the real cost, that is a FDA CTP campaign, have been blatantly misinformation, blatantly lies, which has created confusion among consumers and significantly lowered tobacco harm reduction activities, along with clarifying the existence and potential of switching to reduced risk products. There are several other misinformation points that need to be acknowledged and incorporated into educational materials. Yes. So Richard's agreeing with me. I'm pretty sure I just saw recently that one of the snooze applications was somewhere in the pipeline of approval. And I think Copenhagen actually has an application that's somewhere in the pipeline too. But anyway, misconception. Number 1, vaping is dangerous. First, if someone states that vaping is dangerous, ask what vaping means to them. Vaping is a verb, not a noun. Are they talking about THC or nicotine or other forms? Many of the risks associated with vaping are not from vaping ends, also known as e-cigarettes. This is a crucial distinction to make when thinking about THR approaches. Additionally, there are now a few products that exist in the ends marketplace that have yet to be vetted by the FDA. Those products should always be questioned until they successfully pass through the FDA process. Now, okay. I myself, Kevin,
Yeah.
From what I understand, and I have never used these products, so I'm not sure. But from what I understand, the vaping THC products are far inferior to other delivery methods, from what I understand.
I don't know.
From what I understand, the gummies are probably the most potent.
Okay.
And distill. I've just been. I don't. Again, I could pass a piss test any day of the week. I would lose my livelihood if I were to even attempt. I'm even afraid of CBD, which everybody, or Delta 8 or 9 or whatever, because God knows if there's one decimal, if there's one error in the calculation of that, and there's a little bit too much THC in there, I could lose my license. So I have to stay as far away from that as possible. But from what I understand, if your goal is to get high, the gummies are far. From what I understand, prove me wrong. I can't use the products, but from what I understand, the gummies will kick your asses. And that the vaping products are way more diluted and mild. But anyway, misconception: ENDS products have just as many dangerous chemicals as cigarettes. This is simply untrue. Scientists have evaluated the potential toxicity of ENDS products and have determined that regulated ENDS products have such low levels of toxic substances that they are no different from medicinal nicotine inhalers, where they do detect toxicity. It's nearly 450 times lower than in cigarettes. Misconception number 3, Kevin. All tobacco or nicotine-containing products are equally bad for you. There is a continuum of risk used to explain relative risk across the spectrum of tobacco and nicotine products. Cigarettes and other combustible tobacco products are on the most potentially harmful portion of the spectrum. However, the risk levels drop significantly in the lower end of the spectrum with ENDS and heat-not-burn and oral tobacco products. These options approach the same level of risk associated with use of nicotine replacement therapies like nicotine patches. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, Kevin, and this will always be the argument from me. If nicotine is okay in a patch, in a gum, in a lozenge that you've approved, and it's not addictive because you don't see people running around. Well, I mean, I have seen people running around with 4 or 5 patches on. Don't get me wrong, but it's just because they don't work when they're so low levels. But yeah, if they don't have a black box warning on the side of these saying these can be addictive, and they're not actually sold in the stores, they're not actually behind the counter. So they're not even controlled. So if they were so dangerous, if nicotine was so bad, those nicotine gums, lozenges, patches would be behind the counter. And they're not. They're not.
Yeah. Correct. I'm going to make a point about this before we share my screen, by the way, the Victor share screen.
Point. You don't have it up here yet.
Well, I don't have that for the moment. We're going to talk about Brian for a minute when we're done. When some of you are very aware of the harm reduction risk assessment, I can't recall who it's from. I didn't bring it up, but it shows cigarettes being the high end, and then it shows like vape, nicotine, whatever, snus dropping. Right. And I was using that for quite some time. And Carl Phillips, who, by the way, I haven't seen or heard from in quite some time, he said, "You guys are using."
He does rub people the wrong way.
I love to hate him and hate to love him. I hope he's okay. I really haven't. I messaged him. I never heard.
Somebody might have smacked him across the mouth or something. You never know.
I don't know.
He's abrasive.
Oh, I didn't know that. So what I got, and I don't know for sure, but I'm going to mention Joe Gitchell as well in this conversation because I'm thinking he was. I'm not sure on Joe, but definitely with Carl was, well, that chart's wrong. Well, I believe you. I think you're right because snus should be right next to the patch, gum, and whatever, because you're not inhaling anything with snus. And then maybe e-cigarette should be on the other side. I think those should be switched. Anyway, that's my point to that end. Or ends in this case.
Ends. I don't know that I like ends.
I don't either, but fuck them. Who cares?
I don't know that I like that word. But anyway, misconception number 4. ENDS products do not help you quit smoking. Excuse me. A recent study has reviewed many publications on this topic and determined that for those interested in quitting smoking, replacing cigarettes with ENDS use increases the likelihood that the quit attempt will be successful. And we've had studies on here that show how far vastly superior quitting with vaping is. Yeah. Misconception number 5. This one we're gonna have to be very careful. No, this is not the one. Okay. The e-cigarette or vaping use associated lung injury outbreak in 2019 and 2020 was due to the ENDS products. During this period, nearly 3,000 people were hospitalized, nearly 70 associated deaths. At the time, the largest medical information organization placed the blame squarely on the new ENDS products in the market, even naming the disorder after e-cigarettes. The cause of EVALI was later determined to be vitamin E acetate, which was an ingredient present in THC vaping products. Although this has been scientifically determined, the information has not been appropriately presented to the general public to dispel this misconception. Hey, Kevin.
What?
Do you remember right before that happened, we actually covered that, like, and said this is something that we should be concerned about because we found a leafy article talking about honeycut at the time.
Yeah.
And said this is gonna bite our asses.
Do you want me to brag a little?
Yes, let's brag a little.
All right,
I like people to know how awesome we are.
My pal Jerry, my pal Jerry, Jerome, the former Surgeon fucking General, I said, listen, these people are dying, and you're going to cause more deaths by lying and bringing on, Zippy and Dippy to do your cute little fucking photo ops, you cocksucker. And then more people fucking died, and he kept lying, and more people kept dying.
Did you call him a cocksucker in a tweet? Did you use that language?
No, not in a tweet. That's live here now.
Okay.
Today.
Well, he did. The last time he responded to me in a tweet was.
Yeah. Was it about
then?
That?
It was about that. Remember when I suggested that when these kids go to the ER that they should be checked for substances?
There you go.
He said, how dare you suggest that we surreptitiously, or no, he didn't use surreptitious. He used another word, but sneakily, clandestine. That's the word he used. Clandestinely. That would sow distrust in the medical community and with doctors and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, if I go to the emergency room for an injury caused at work, they're going to take my blood, right? But then if
they're going to check you for pregnancy.
If you can find that tweet, if you can find my tweet to him and scroll up on that thread, at the very beginning of the thread, there's proof. No. Okay. He actually sends instructions. There's an email. He sends instructions to all of these people saying any product that you collect, please send to us.
That's correct.
So,
and at the same time, he already had information.
Plus, yes, we have another email chain that he was a part of, where they warned him in advance.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you very kindly. One of the most incompetent fucks I've ever seen in the government structure of any kind. Medically.
But it was like he purposefully didn't. Like he knew.
Yeah, he knew.
He knew in advance. We knew in advance because we covered it before the first person was hospitalized.
Yes, we did.
Thanks to Leafly. We told him how to solve the problem of misinformation by testing the people for vitamin E acetate and THC. And he said, no, we can't do that. But then we have proof that he was aware of it. We have proof that he was trying to hide it by telling the clinicians in the hospital, send us any open product that the patients have with them.
Yeah.
Like he specifically. So what? You're collecting all of this stuff, but you don't want anybody to know what's going on. I mean, I don't think he's smart enough to be the head of like a conspiracy, but he is definitely in part of this group that didn't want anybody to know.
Yeah,
for
we have
sure.
receipts. We have a lot of receipts.
Yeah, I mean, he's not important now. He does pop up on my feed periodically, and I do like to drag his ass a little bit now because he's promoting mask usage now.
Oh, I haven't. I can teeth people.
So I'm like, oh. So before you said masks aren't important and you're not concerned about COVID, and now you're saying,
that receipt too.
Yeah, well, I slapped that on every one of these. And you don't believe how many people defend him.
Of course they do. Of course they do, Patrick.
So now I don't want to get into a debate about masks. I know Addy is in there and he's, I myself, I wear a mask almost every day. I never touch my face when I'm wearing the mask.
Right.
If you have any self-control at all, you know how to adjust your glasses so that you don't affect your mask.
Yeah.
If they're fit properly, there's pressure there, but they're not completely uncomfortable. I've had mine fit tested, so I mean, the general public can't be fit tested, but I never got COVID. And I worked directly with patients that were active COVID patients.
Yeah.
I just, followed some self-control and some rules about not touching my face. But anyway, the tobacco industry is targeting teens by introducing kid-friendly flavors and marketing directly to youth to draw them into using cigarettes. There are 3 misconceptions in this single sentence. First, the overwhelming number of ENDS products in the marketplace are from smaller companies. In the early years, they were small U.S. companies, but now these products are overwhelmingly manufactured in China. That's not true. There's still tons and tons. I mean, there's a lot of e-liquid companies that went out of business, but there are still e-liquid companies that are from the United States. The large tobacco and nicotine manufacturers abide by the rules and regulations of the FDA CTP, and products manufactured by large tobacco companies. Non-tobacco flavors ENDS products are not specifically marketed and are defined only by the flavor content, mint, mango, blah, blah, blah. Finally, there is no data that suggests that either directly or indirectly the use of ENDS products leads to initiation of combustible cigarette use. No gateway. No gateway. Anyway, young people are attracted to vaping ENDS products due primarily to the flavors. Recent studies have shown that the primary motivation for youth to try vaping ENDS is to relieve stress and influence from their peers. Flavor is on the list, but would be listed as a... So, Kev, when you were younger,
yeah,
like the number of people that smoked cigarettes,
yes,
was huge. I mean, you oldies,
yes.
All of you oldies used to smoke, right?
Yes.
So, when you were in high school back in the 1960s, what percentage of high school students smoked when you were a kid, Kev? Just an estimate.
Easily 25%. It had to be. I don't know for sure. I've never looked at my age group at that time in 84.
All right, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to Google it just to see. Let's see. Youth.
Look up 85.
Smoking.
I'm going to say
85. Let's see.
Pippa. Pippa popped in.
Man, there's Pippa. Cigarette smoking among youth, the United States, 1989. This is a. Let's see if there's a chart. I'm looking for a chart. I want a chart so I can show you. I want to see a chart. Let's see if I can just go youth smoking, U.S., United States.
More than 20.
By year. Let's see if there's a chart.
Oh, okay. All right.
If we can do year.
All right.
All right. That's not by year. I want one by year. La 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 la.
If the fan bothers you, good.
I'm looking. I don't hear it.
Good.
I don't hear it. No. No, I just heard you bump your mic though.
Michelle
American Lung Association. Well, Kunasses do smoke more. Yeah.
What?
I was there.
Where? Who? What'd you say?
Kunasses. You never heard of people from Louisiana?
I've learned more than one word tonight. What does this one mean?
That's just what the people call. That's a term of endearment for people from Louisiana.
Okay. All right. Well, Michelle had, or I'm sorry, who did that? Mallory had a word earlier, and Michelle technically, Massachusetts was the born part. But yes, Ohio.
All right. Well, this only goes to 91, but this is good enough.
All right.
So let me present this. I'm gonna present a new page here just to show you. This is actually Smoke-Free Kids.
It's hard to believe. They didn't care about us enough to count.
Well, those people, you figure those people are already.
Well, they were 97, right? They started in 97, 8, something like that.
1991. So it says here, in 1991, 27.5% of kids smoked.
Yeah.
Then it went up to 30. So 36% in 1997. So in 1997, Kevin, did they sell? Well, any time before 1997 or any time after 1997.
Uh-huh.
Were cigarettes flavored? Did they come in like cotton candy and bubble gum and
I recall
creme brulee? There was a Camel brand in the 2000s, right in here.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say mid 90s or early 2000s.
Yeah, somewhere around in here, I would say.
I remember the snap thing or whatever in the.
No, that was after that. That was
after.
That was after that. But if in 1991, 27.5% of kids smoked cigarettes, and they smoked them even though there were no fruit flavored cigarettes in the United States. Richard says they had fruity cigarettes in the UK, but not here.
Well, maybe
there's a lot of poofs over there, though. I'm just saying.
Maybe my estimate was low. I don't know. I'd say 25, but I don't know honestly. I want to make sure.
Why are you showing this?
Make sure everybody understands. Let me rub it and make it bigger. I forgot. Everybody understands who Brian King is.
Yes.
So he is now the director, of the Food and Drug Administration Center for Tobacco Products as of 22. Now, he's been in this world 2 decades to provide sound scientific advice to inform tobacco control policy and to effectively communicate this information to stakeholders. Patrick, I have a question for you. Who do you think kinder is going to be rough tonight, Toonie? I haven't had my nap. Who do you think are the stakeholders in this world, in our country? In
their parlance, the people that they
by definition,
they communicate specifically with their partners in tobacco control.
Okay.
The body part organizations, the for-profit public health organizations that are specifically created from master settlement agreement, those people.
Well, now I've highlighted that for everybody just to keep on nodding their heads as they wish, one way or the other, doesn't matter. But the general public is seemingly last again.
No. Again, we already covered that at the very top of the page that we were reading, that they've failed.
Yes.
They've admittedly failed.
Yes.
So.
And the point to this is, to not to waste our time, is that prior to the FDA, he's been the research translation director in the CDC for smoking and health. Now, this guy's got a little bit of balls to say, well, we're not doing a very good job. Because
he's been doing it for 20 years. You would think that he would have gotten good at it.
I think you'd have cornered the market in figuring out how to fucking communicate by now, don't you?
Oh. Where's my ex?
I'll stop sharing, but I'm not going to stop talking. So this guy,
keep jibber jabbering real quick. I'm going to.
I'll leave it up there. This guy has authored 200 scientific journals related to control and prevention, and yet he doesn't understand how this works, and they have work to do. So, if you're a plumber and you come into my house and you break something else so you can keep your job or continue to do more work and for me to contract you through, I'm going to kick you in your probably small balls and get you out of my house very quickly. So unqualified.
So maybe he's vaping.
And unprofessional twits. What was that word that what was that word? I forget the word. Oh, what did Mallory say? I forget, but they should have one of those little, take the strip off the bikini wax thing between the taint and the balls for Brian, so he can learn how to fucking communicate properly about the things he evidently doesn't know anything about that he says he does. 20 years plus in the service of our country, allegedly.
Right. So I'm still finding it.
All right. That's twaxing. That's it.
Twaxing.
Just learn new terms.
Waxing of the taint.
If you can't communicate.
Did you see that we have a new friend in the chat room? I've never seen Sandor Xanto before.
Sandor? Hello there, Sandor. He's a two-faced liar. Well, I agree.
All right. I found my tweet. Talking about, and I'm loath to bring this person up on this show.
All right.
But I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
Because this does go along with your years of experience and being failures, right?
All right.
So I have replied to the guy that I said I would never reply to. So Twat Waffle here, Turk. He says in a tweet, he says right here, this is reply to Charlie. You still believe that the majority of addicted smokers and vapors enjoy nicotine? Not my impression from many focus groups and counseling sessions that I've conducted.
Well, you could say anything you want. But
so I've said, you've conducted focus groups? Not one person has said vaping helped them quit smoking? Not one of them explained how easy it is to reduce their nicotine levels at their own pace and made it easier to quit vaping at their own time? I've personally met hundreds at conventions and events, and I could name hundreds.
Good for you, Patrick.
Now you see,
that could be the vape cat tweeted this week right there.
No. I can't put myself up for that.
I know I can't.
But I do have honorable. I do have another awesome tweet that I did that was quite well received. I will show, but
I'm ready.
While we're digressing in the middle of this article, that's we've not completed that article yet. But it is incumbent upon me to show how awesome I am.
Voluntary incompetence is rampant.
Yeah,
just so y'all know.
I'm scrolling some more. My Twitter is pretty good, or it was pretty. There's a lot of tweets this week. So anyway, CDC tobacco free this week. Did you know that smoking not only harms your own health but can impact the health of those around you? Quit smoking to better yourself and create a safer environment for your family and loved ones. So obviously they're referring to imagined, secondhand or third-hand vaping, right? So then I used their tweet as a roadmap for my quote, my quote post, my quote X post. I fell into the tweet hole there, Kevin. So the tweet hole. I said, did you know that vaping removes 95% of the harms to your own health and 100% of the impact to the health of those around you? Quit smoking with vaping now to better your health and the health of those around you. The question is, why isn't CDC tobacco free, educating people about the relative risks of vaping versus smoking? See, this all ties in to the topic at hand from the R Street piece, where we were discussing the fact that the FDA and CDC and all these organizations have failed miserably
voluntarily
to communicate the comparative risks, to explain to people that there is a continuum of risk.
Oh, I forgot to send you something.
You forgot to send me something. Yeah.
Well, as soon as you said that, I'll just say, do you have the lung association on our docile?
I don't think I have anything from Lung Association on there. So.
Oh, well.
But anyway, let me continue to read this because we're spending a lot of time on this. Non-tobacco flavored ENDS products are not important tools in aiding adults move from combustible tobacco to reduced risk products. This claim has been debunked as well. Several recent studies have shown that in those that are interested in quitting smoking, ENDS product users are more successful. Yes. Nicotine is harmful. Individuals, even well-educated physicians, mistakenly believe that nicotine causes cancer. We've discussed that. The stat is about somewhere between 70 and 80% of educated doctors believe that nicotine causes cancer, which is not true. Nicotine is a chemical separate from smoking and has been shown to be relatively benign in healthy adults. When nicotine is delivered through reduced risk products, the potential adverse health effects are greatly reduced, especially compared to continued use of cigarettes. Pippin wants to know about my X-hole.
See?
Yeah, or my tweet hole. Anyway, vaping ENDS products leads to more addiction than smoking cigarettes. The question around the potential for addiction to nicotine is a complex one, but in terms of ENDS being more addictive, it is inaccurate. Of individuals who try cigarettes, well over half continue to use them, at least temporarily, daily. The data on non-smokers who try ENDS products and become addicted is suspected to be very low, but the health-related consequences of any potential use of ENDS products are much less damaging in comparison to cigarettes.
My hat's off to R Street, and
this is a relatively awesome. That's it.
To Jeffrey Smith, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, Jeffrey.
And my lung association connection was only that they wanted the FDA. They demanded, that the FDA
we covered that last week.
Quell their information upon you, the public. So we did cover it. Yeah,
we did cover that last week, where they specifically told them, we don't want this language in your policy announcement or in your position statement or whatever the hell that document was supposed to be.
And to loop back around, astroturfing is pretty big, and that makes me curious as to how many FOIAs have been produced or requested, showing other conversations that these fuckers have had with the Food and Drug Administration. So,
well, no, I'm just concerned that these public health people that are supposed to be non-NGOs and nonprofits. Why is it that they feel like that they have any authority over what FDA says?
I showed you my tweet.
Yeah.
No.
You're
no reason.
You're, as an individual person that may work for those organizations, you are part of We the People, but your organization has no authority over the people, and you shouldn't be dictating.
Access.
They should not be dictating any. I would like to, would we have grounds to sue FDA and that organization for improper influence peddling by demanding if FDA actually demands if FDA removes that language, would we have any legal leg to stand on to sue and say that's undue authority? Like, how, that you should not be able to pressure the government into changing, especially based on the fact that your science is unsound and we have proof that shows that there is a continuum of risk and the FDA is responsible for communicating that. I'd like to know. We need to talk to one of our vape attorneys. One of our good vape attorneys, not like the fish guy.
Oh, my head.
Oh, your head. But hey, you'll like this one. This is from Dr. F.
Oh, well, I will.
Yeah. So this is published recently, or at least it was shared recently, and I figured I would pick it up and run with it. Yeah, this is old, but somebody reshared it, so I picked it up. We're running with it.
Yep.
So this is a study by Dr. Farsalinos, Konstantinos Farsalinos, our very good friend that we've never actually interviewed. He's never come on our show, but he's been on.
He did answer a question for me.
Well, on Twitter,
live. No, live on Demetrius' show.
Oh, well, yeah, he's been on Demi's show so many times. They're buddies, but
Good. Keep going.
So this is are metals emitted from electronic cigarettes a reason for health concern? A risk assessment analysis of currently available literature. He should probably do a renewal. Fancy this up some more, but
isn't this the one we've spoken about? The folklore of pissing off some vapors.
Yeah. So no, this is not the one. So based on currently available data, overall exposure to metals from e-cigarette use is not expected to be of significant health concern for smokers switching to e-cigarette use, but it is an unnecessary source of exposure for never smokers. Metal analysis should be expanded to more products and exposure, because this was from 15, man, to further reduce through improvements in product quality and appropriate choice of materials. So, yeah. Well, Richard says that the Safer Wiki had over 1.3 million hits last month. That's pretty okay, I think.
That's
awesome. I mean, obviously, this is from 2015, and we've had a significant amount of innovation since then. So we should be able to
get more.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that since we've obviously back in those days, we only used one kind of, coil. We're not using, people were using different voltages and different things, different airflows. Everything's have been improved since 2015. No, we weren't using CE4. I was using a K-Fun in 2015 by then.
I could burn up a CE4.
CE4s were...
It would warm up for me.
That's old school.
But I can't say this loud enough for anybody that can hear me. If you don't want more valid, read my words on the screen, trust but verify, valid research to show any harm, and you actually know that there may be, you need to leave the room, because I want to know. I think Patrick wants to know. He might nod his head, but I'm pretty sure he does.
No, I want to be as full. I mean, I'm inhaling something into my body.
Yeah. Am I concerned? No, but
I want to know what it is. I mean, obviously, I still believe that even the worst vape is still better than the best cigarette, but Yeah, I want to know what I'm putting into my body. Surely. I mean, I'm still sure, but I want to have the choice of if they say, oh, well, this particular product is only 70% safer than a cigarette, and this vaping product is 95%. I want to have the choice to choose. I want to know. So, yeah.
Now, in that same subject, what do we see every week? We see people talking about kids. We see people talking about, vapors trying to hook kids. We see them strip searching people and taking down their pants, and doing all the things that you don't care about, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
They don't care about the actual safety and reliability or liabilities in that instance of what these can and cannot do. They want to bullshit everybody in the public, up to and including the director, King, fuckhead, to lie.
Yeah. With 20 years of experience of misinformation under his
belt.
Patrick,
can you imagine if all the effort that was taken into the bullshit and put into the research, how much more right those people might be or wrong they might be? Mm-hmm. I'm going to venture to say they're going to be more wrong. But what if?
I just noticed that our very good friend Bruni is not here, which is...
He tweeted us, and then I never did see him, but I bet he's on the Rumbles or the...
He might be on the Rumbles, and I haven't looked over there recently.
Just listen closely for the thunder down under. Pip is here, so...
Yeah. She's our only Aussie in the chat right now, I think. Yeah, we got a Brit and an Aussie and a bunch of Americans, and apparently
a bunch of Yanks.
I thought I saw somebody was a mix. Is Sander?
Yep,
from South America.
Yep.
So we're covering several places now. Let's get the job.
Thank all of you for coming in.
Yeah,
and listening to our crap.
Yeah. Oh no, Bruni's there. Bruni just said he's lurking. He's
lurking.
He decided to show his head.
And obviously Phil's lurking. Thank you, Phil.
Phil, actually, you brought up strip searching kids, but the rodent did send me a link to another story that I added to the list of child abuse stories that we're following now. But the worst vape is still healthier than a Starbucks mocha cookie crumble frappuccino. Now, I don't do Starbucks, but I like my mocha cookie crumble. Okay.
Braggers 07, that is because that's what they want.
Yeah. And then Michelle says she's a coon ass. Yep. I know you are.
Asses and taints and all kinds of
I'm surprised you've never heard of Cajun people or of Louisiana people being referred to as coon asses.
No, I've never heard the term. If I had heard the term, I'd say, Jesus, I've heard that term. No.
One of these days, I'm gonna go spend 2 weeks in New Orleans, and when I come back, my diction, my I will drop right back into the coon ass patois like that.
I do that when I go east. Yeah.
Yep. Here.
I become more of a masshole than I am now.
Yeah. Let's look at this. It says local doctor explains the dangers of vaping.
Oh, thank God. Because I've been looking.
Our back to interviews continue this week with Dr. Stephen from Gallup Children's Hospital, also a spokesperson for the American Academy of Pediatrics.
Can y'all get some dress shoes?
Well, I think
Patrick, listen,
these are respectable people, and I'd at least be wearing my, they want. That's how they associate with the young people with their brightly colored Buffalo Bills socks.
But adults don't like colors and colorful
yellow
things.
and blue Nikes. Yeah.
Oh my fucking word.
Yeah. That's how they get down with the kids there.
And now 2 issues here with this segment. We'll start with healthy eating. It's the best advice here with getting back out of summer break, back into school.
So trying to plan meals is really important. And again, sounds really easy.
I'm going to skip around here until we get to...
Eat them carrots, kids.
We're going to get off of the... he's telling them to, obviously stay off the sugar and, your sweeteners and, be healthy.
I thought that too, Pippa.
Stay away from the Cokes and stuff. I didn't make it up.
On screen. Look at that.
Look at all that healthy food that they're pushing. He's a Bloomberg. He's talking about sodas in there.
Variety is going to be really kind of within the eye of the beholder. Try to have some options and stuff. Also, you want to have some staples. You don't want your kid going to school and being like, oh, the only thing they're going to eat is the peanut butter snacks or something like that in there. So try to have an option of a couple things. But this actually also gets back to role modeling. What do we eat? What do we like?
Yada, yada, yada. Really? I forgot this. I should have just cut this. Oh, here we go.
Warning to some of these companies selling them that look like highlighters where a student could hide it. I mean, it's just become such a problem with teens. What do you do about it?
It really is a huge problem. I mean, nicotine is the primary product in there, and this came out as a response to all the work against the tobacco industry. But nicotine still is a very strong stimulant and addictive chemical, and the teen brain is more susceptible to getting hooked and getting addicted to nicotine. The fact that they're smaller and flavored and stuff tells you that industry isn't trying to help us.
Yeah.
So just because they're smaller, I mean, this is not very. I get it's handheld. And flavored again.
Mine's pink.
Well,
his shoes are too tight. That's what it is.
As adult smokers who say, well, I went to vaping and it helped me quit. Well, that's okay. It'd be better if you quit entirely. But we know.
But why are you telling people what to do?
No, fuck you. How's that? What's his name? Dr. Fucktard? Yes.
80 to 90% of adult smokers started as teens. And in this age group, when the brain is so susceptible, you got to be alert to it and be aware of it. If you yourself use this.
Now, we have this thing called neuroplasticity, Kevin. As children, our brains adapt better. I mean, I'm a certified neurological specialist. I can tell you kids' brains cope better to an injury than an adult or like Kevin, a senior citizen. His neuroplasticity is no longer plastic. So, hey, Fraggers is here.
I see.
So, I challenge these people because we know you and I both started smoking quite young. You started when you were 3, and I started when I was 12. But that number keeps getting lower.
I know.
Eventually, it's going to be you were smoking in the womb. But anyway,
I came in the womb, just light it.
I mean, I will admit that I started smoking when I was 12, and I continued to smoke until I was 18, and I quit for like 5 years with no trouble. I just stopped. So I found it harder to quit when I was in my 30s.
It's funny you mentioned that because I smoked, and I did quit when I was about 13 because I went on this running kick for about 2 years. So I forgot about that till you just said that.
Yeah. And then, Sander in the chat room brings up that Einstein smoked and it didn't debilitate his brain. No. We actually have a collage of all the brainy people that used to smoke or that smoked.
NASA. Look at a picture of NASA.
Look at NASA during the Apollo time. All the consoles in the mission control had cigarettes. I mean,
oh my God.
But yeah, lots of brainy people smoked, and it didn't affect their performance at all, as far as I can tell.
Good point, Friars. Very good point.
Try to be more conscious of it and realize that your child is seeing this.
I've seen this kid's chin and nose and that jewel in like 800 videos.
Yeah.
I mean,
his parents aren't paying attention.
That's part of the stock footage package,
and not allowing them to think that is acceptable. I mean, this is, you know, essentially setting your child up for getting addicted to a chemical that could be lifelong.
All right, thank you, Dr. Stephen Cook.
God, I hope they don't become doctors because of it.
Coverage. We covered a lot of topics.
Well, I mean, I like I said, I smoked when I was 12. I quit when I was 18. I didn't start smoking again until I was in college getting my master's degree.
You know,
so
it reminds me that this video is
I challenge them the veracity of their claims.
Is very good for propaganda because it's quick.
Well, yeah,
it's the end of the segment, and nobody's paying attention to the real problem.
So appears the vaping epidemic has invaded our friends in the NZ.
Oh,
in NZ.
What'll we ever do?
Our Kiwi friends, I apologize, and I've already apologized for our Australian friends who have fallen prey to the American propaganda. But here, look, I technically should add this to the kids are being spied on / abused, but I'm not gonna, because vaping epidemic prompts cameras in school. Yeah. So cameras and sensors are being installed in toilet corridors at Rangiora High School in a bid to crack down on vaping. The growing vaping epidemic has left North Canterbury schools grappling, Kevin, with ways to manage it. So we're going to put cameras and sensors in the toilet hallways, whatever that means.
Are they going to the like the WWE or WWF and training for this grappling session that they do every day?
They're grappling at grappling school.
Because fuck, I don't know if I've ever done any grappling myself. I'd like to.
I've grappled quite a few times, and it's been quite enjoyable.
I've scrappled, but not grappled.
Rangiora High School Principal Bruce Kearney said vaping had led to antisocial gatherings around bathrooms, and school was determined to stamp them out. So vaping makes you antisocial now? Is that what antisocial gatherings? Students often vape. I don't know. Students often vape in our toilets in large groups, and it can be intimidating for our students to actually use the toilets for their intended purposes. I just, you know, when I was a kid, if I went in and there were kids smoking in the bathroom, and there were, I might have lit one up and went and dropped a deuce. No problem. I wouldn't have been afraid. Cameras have been installed in the main Rakihuri building in bathroom corridors, and more cameras and sensors will be gradually installed across the school. Kearney said cameras and sensors were expensive and took money from education, but vaping had got out of hand, and schools were left to manage it as best as they could. Signs are being installed to indicate to students where the cameras and vaping sensors are. Well, yeah, show me where it is so that I can cover it. I can.
Well, Kathy said they're pretty resilient. They're pretty smart.
I already know how to do it, but I'm not gonna.
You know, as bad as nicotine does to these kids' brains, they're awfully smart to outsmart these motherfuckers.
Right. Well, I mean, if you get a shower cap, and a rubber band, you can take care of those sensors easily.
Oh,
the only
any parents in the room, if your little offspring needs a shower cap from you, then you might ask another question. Just a helpful hint from your Uncle Kev.
Yeah. We should never have gotten into a situation where young people are addicted to a product which is supposed to help stop smoking. What if those kids were already smoking? Shouldn't you try to help them quit smoking? I mean, I'm not promoting youth usage, but if they were smoking cigarettes and they were addicted, shouldn't you offer them an option to become not addicted? To help them in a progressive way? Look at Big Chocolate. Did you see Big Chocolate just showed up? You see that?
We had a discussion about some Reese's earlier this week. I had 2 today.
I'm gonna send Chris the next time. I'm gonna send Chris like a gross of Tootsie Rolls. An entire case of Tootsie Rolls.
It's not chocolate.
The school board's trustees chairperson, Simon Green, said he had received positive comments from students since the announcement. So you're going to put a camera at the entrance of the shitter. Hopefully they're not putting it in the shitter. This doesn't say, this says in the door. And then obviously you're going to have sensors, but we already talked about how the company that makes the sensors just bought a company that makes cameras. Just saying.
You take an inch, you get a mile. What is that word saying? I don't know.
So you give an inch, and they'll take a mile.
Well, they got the little rat dicks and balls out. So now they're going to take the next step. At a time.
So it says we've had no concerns raised about privacy so far, and they are only being placed in the corridor and not in the cubicles themselves. So there is no privacy issue
yet.
The sensors are pretty good at picking up when people are using the toilet for a purpose other than what is intended. Kearney said the school was exploring addiction programs with the school nurse in a bid to support students addicted to vaping. Fuck those kids that are smoking now. He is also calling on parents to get in behind the school and allowing staff to destroy vaping products which are seized. Kai Poi High School Principal Jason Reed said his school has investigated cameras and sensors and found them too costly. We have enough ways of monitoring when vaping is likely to occur, and we can have those discussions. How about when kids leave a classroom, teachers pay attention to who's left the classroom, and when they're gone for more than a few minutes,
Patrick,
then send somebody to go get them. That's what we used to do. We only had.
Wouldn't that be the same thing they've been doing for 100 fucking years?
We had hall passes, and only one person could be out of the class at a time.
Right. Now,
so there should be a limited number of people out of class during class, right?
Within reason.
If they stay away too long,
you might.
Wouldn't that raise some sort of concerns?
Yeah, I think it would.
I mean, as a teacher, as an educator, shouldn't you be worried about educating your kids? And if one of your kids is gone for a while, shouldn't you be concerned that something might have happened, or they might have ran away, they may have gone AWOL, whatever. I mean, shouldn't you be paying attention to how many kids are gone? And then in between classes, shouldn't a teacher just hang out in front of the toilet and say, okay,
I question why these kids are in such charge of the schools, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just, But anyway, but he said vaping was a growing problem in schools when he had real concerns about the ongoing health risks. While vaping, like smoking, was banned in schools, it was proving to be addictive and led to anxiety, increased impulse, and irritation as students craved their next hit.
Yeah.
We don't know enough about the long-term. Really, y'all?
Chapter and verse.
I mean, this is
chapter and verse.
I mean, these are not heroin addicts. These are kids that are vaping. They're, these are people that have no idea about addiction treatment at all.
No.
At all. I mean, obviously.
But they have I Love Me walls, Patrick. They have I Love Me walls, and that makes them qualified to make decisions about your kids. So you just sit back down and do what you're told, you little fuck.
I mean, I know that the half-life of nicotine is longer than a few hours.
I did not, but yeah.
Well, yeah, because they can do a nicotine test on your blood, and it's still in your blood for days and days.
They're going to titrate anyway. But
so my concern is these people think that drug addicts go into withdrawal within minutes of ingesting the chemical or the substance of their choice, which is not true. I mean, you have periods in between where you're fine, usually longer than an hour or two.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would be able to spot each and every addict of heroin or cocaine or any of those substances that are way more powerful than nicotine, because every 2 hours they're out looking for a fix.
Oh, Pippa, let me ask Patrick a question. Patrick, I have a question. What is the percentage of teachers?
Oh dear God! I know what you're gonna ask. Go ahead.
In what, I forget how to word this. What is the percentage of teachers? Not that all teachers are bad. I have 2 in my family who are admittedly, I guess, I don't know the exact term. Admittedly, I don't know if they're charged or if they're caught with child.
Well, it's not the percentage of teachers. It's the percentage of kids that go to school.
Oh, percent. I'm sorry, percent of kids.
10% of kids in U.S. public
5 of each hand.
10%
I apologize for wording that wrong.
Molested, sexually assaulted by a trusted educator. 10%.
Which makes me want to highlight why Pippa said, or what Pippa said when she said it.
Yes, the percentage of children in public schools. I don't know if this flows over to Kiwi and Aussie and all the other.
In the
10% of kids in American public schools are sexually abused by a trusted educator.
And we have
before anybody says anything about priests or teachers in public or private schools, I know for a fact, I've done the research on this at least, that the percentage of children assaulted by priests is less than 1%.
And it shocked me that we brought this up, I don't know, a year ago.
Not that we're going to talk about sexually assaulting children as part of our show on a regular, but it is something that I have near and dear to my heart, protecting children. And this is a statistic that most people don't know.
And hence, Pippa, if you've not seen any of my tweets about the molestation and the other fucking stupidity that they do, strip searching, I don't even understand it.
And the fact that that the government is protecting them.
Yes. In promoting.
Michelle, I don't care how many teachers go home and drink liquor. If I was a teacher, I probably would go home and drink liquor. At home, I wouldn't do it. At school, I might. No, I wouldn't. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have to. I mean, after a day surrounded by these rats, I would probably need a drink too.
I remember how many people were in the smoking lounge, the teacher's smoking lounge, when I was a kid. You couldn't walk down the hall without smelling that, which, you know, that's what it was in the 70s.
We skipped one, Kevin.
What?
Yep. I have to open this.
Well, we get all hopped up on this chocolate earlier, and I don't know what to say. How many teachers vape at school? That's a good question. I like that question, Chris.
Shit. I mean, I mean, when I was a kid, the teachers had smoking in their. I used to smoke in the teachers' lounge sometimes. But here, yeah,
good.
So we called tonight's show edutainment, which is a word that I had never heard. But we kind of do edutainment. We tell jokes and stuff. You're gonna love that.
No, I bet.
Your
trust level in you is dropping dramatically by the day. So,
yeah.
Kentucky Wesleyan is hosting a nicotine and vaping awareness presentation for students tonight with the help of Robert.
Witness News Cindy Davis has more on how they plan to grab the attention of students.
At 7 p.m. in the Jack Wells Activity Center, Rob Hackinson will use his edutainment skills to incorporate theatrics and magic into a nicotine and vaping awareness presentation.
Magic, Kevin. Magic.
Oh, why?
He's gonna pull nicotine out of a hat.
He's gonna pull his rat out of a hat.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
The idea for the event came from a general health survey given on campus that revealed students who choose to use tobacco are primarily vaping.
Tonight's program is sort of a culmination of that. In addition to the cessation products and counselors that we've had on campus, we wanted to do some interactive programming for them to hopefully get their attention.
The event is made possible for Kentucky Wesleyan by a community health investment grant provided by Owensboro Health. The grant has allowed the college to have 2 trained breathe tobacco treatment specialists on campus. Those specialists can offer counseling, nicotine alternatives, and much more because of the...
So Owensboro Health is providing 2 nicotine counselors.
I'm wondering if this is through the Truth Initiative's bribery program.
I would like to, either that or Vital Strategies through, Bloomberg.
Yeah.
But
I got some magic.
The college, apparently, the college can't afford to provide the counseling themselves with all the money they collect as tuition. So, my wife, is just enrolled in her family nurse practitioner program. She's taking classes now. It's all online, so I'm able to help her. But when we paid the tuition, you get an itemized statement of what you're paying for.
Okay.
So part of the online, because at no point is she required to go to campus, Kevin.
Wow. Ever?
Doesn't have to. Wow. The whole thing is conducted online. You have assignments and readings and things that you have to do each week. And then they have like a live video chat that you can, if you're off, because all the people that are taking this are obviously working nurses.
Okay.
So they can't be out because their schedules are erratic, right? So, but when we get the itemized bill for, and this is just me bitching about college tuition, there are fees for upkeep of campus upkeep, for access to the health center, to the gym, to all these things that are built into the bill that the online students will never participate in. There's hundreds of dollars on the tuition for access to all these things. But they never are. I mean, the school is like a 2-hour drive away. It's Texas A&M. It's not something. I mean, we have a local Texas A&M campus, but the campus that this program is through is the Texas A&M International Campus, which is 2 to 3 hour drive away. So my wife will never have access to those things unless we drive 3 hours. But we have to pay for those.
Right.
Which I think is bullshit, but it's still cheaper than when I went to Tulane 15 years ago. So, all right, let's go.
This training. Owensboro Health says the selection process is highly competitive, takes about 8 or 9 months to complete, and has several stipulations.
Recipients of the large and the mini grant programs actually have to have a 100% tobacco-free policy. So that is something that is unique because we are a health system and because Kentucky in particular is so plagued by, mortality.
So a 100% tobacco-free policy on campus is not hard. Most of the schools in the United States already have that policy in place, even vaping.
Patrick, I have a question.
You can't even park in the school parking lot and smoke in your car.
I apologize for so many fucking questions tonight for all of you. These are adults. Am I wrong?
These are, yes, by and large. There might be some like savants in there that are like 12, but most of these 18 to 25.
25. So you're going to have a program to tell people what to do in their own time because you can't do it there.
No, I mean, when I went to school, the whole point of college was to teach you how to be your own person.
Oh,
And
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you were allowed that. You can't have debates on campus anymore because you know people's feelings might get hurt. But yeah, I mean, so it's not a free speech zone anymore. When I was a kid, you know, they welcomed dialogue and discussion.
Yes.
Can't have that no more, obviously.
So
Smoking was not encouraged on campus when I was in school. I don't recall smoking on campus at all. Right. I did walk across the street to the IHOP though and smoke like a chimney
because it was a smoke-free zone, right?
Yeah.
So literally, these children who are young now adults, so they're no longer children, which is what they're being portrayed as, are being told that they just have hat racks, and then we're going to fill this shit in your head so you can't make your own decisions for yourselves.
Colleges are definitely a zone of indoctrination now, Kevin.
And then there you go. Go get them. Go get them. Whoever's got that wrench, go get them.
Somebody take that down. Yeah. Oh, that's on the Twitch. They can't even see it.
Oh, so all I know is I can't imagine how many hat racks are walking around the fucking campus in wherever fucking town this is. KWC.
It's Kentucky. It's Louisville, I think. But anyway, let's keep going.
And tobacco usage.
Officials say Kentucky is one of 5 states with the highest rate of e-cigarette use in the country. Hackinson says he's been doing tonight's particular vaping presentation for about 10 years. After his grandfather's smoking habits as a child led to a battle with emphysema.
He did eventually quit the idea.
Now, if he's supposed to be doing magic, shouldn't he be wearing a top hat and like a, you know...
I got some magic for you.
Yeah.
10 years ago,
I
this would have been a
saw him and everything and the battles that he went through. And now you see, teen smoking rates, all-time lows, and then all of a sudden comes a rise of vaping.
I had Hackinson walk me through an exercise on the disconnect that can sometimes happen while working through addiction.
Take your right foot, put it like this, and circle it clockwise, which is to the right. All right, now as you're circling your foot clockwise, take your right hand, put up in the air, and in the air, draw the number 6.
Simply drawing the 6 from the inside out makes both successful. He says individuals usually know what they want to do or should do in relation to tobacco usage.
What?
Yeah, because I don't know what that little dance was, but he needs to stay away from my kids.
What does drawing a circle with your foot and drawing the number 6 with your hand have anything to do?
You're the neuro guy. You tell me.
I mean,
exactly, Richard.
Actually, doing bilateral movements like that does address both sides of your brain simultaneously.
Yeah.
Has nothing
to do with smoking or vaping or drinking or eating or fucking or whatever. I wonder if their testicles get smaller when they do that. I bet they do.
Again, it has nothing to
do with it. Magic. Smoking rates are at their all-time lows, but I still need a job, so I'm going to do this test with you. Now stand there and then take your numbers over here. And what kind of...
Well, Chris says, but meanwhile, fentanyl is killing thousands of people in the U.S. every day. But the way they're addressing that is by saying, well, people are vaping fentanyl. We must stop vaping. By the way, people are not vaping fentanyl.
Get me to get my finger out again.
We actually have already addressed that. Like a year ago, we had the director of public health in Tennessee said, our chemists and our scientists say that fentanyl cannot be delivered in a vape. Cannot.
Zero.
But you still see the headlines for fentanyl vaping all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the fucking time.
But there's often a disconnect in how. In Owensboro, Sydney Davis, Eyewitness News.
And officials say Kentucky is one of 5 states with the highest rate of e-cigarette use in the country. And vaping is popular within the 18 to 29 age group. Kentucky West.
18 to 29, Kevin.
My God.
So
Fig was right.
I mean,
good Jesus.
18 to 21. Okay, I'll give you that. That's not legal for them. But 21 to 29, the biggest portion of that number that you just fucking quoted, those are adult people that are allowed to make adult choices.
I was going to modify this, Michelle, but I haven't done it so yet. I'm going to reiterate what Fig has mentioned to us quite some time ago. At what age do we make the don't smoke until or the drink until? 25, 30 now? Are we going to make it 30?
Well, I mean, with all these 30-year-olds living in their mommy and daddy's basement, I mean, I guess you could still consider them children.
Hey, I tweet from my ex from my basement, and don't you fucking knock
But that's
that.
your basement. That's not your mommy and daddy's basement.
Well, technically, I don't have a basement, but fuck him. So,
yeah.
Fig mentioned quite some time ago, for those who don't know, that the age of majority, or I've mentioned, the age of majority is 18. You can vote, you can go bankrupt, you can get married, you can do all these, all these happy decisions in your lives, choose a college, and then to be told what to do is asinine. So whoever this dumbass is on the screen needs to go away.
But he's just
because this is not journalism.
He's just reading what's on the teleprompter, Kevin.
Yes, correct.
He's just the anchor man. He's the Ron Burgundy. I mean,
I could do this better than they can.
He's the Ron Burgundy, you know.
And in other news that's full of shit. Back to you, Patrick.
I actually love that movie. That's one of the few Will Ferrell movies that I can actually tolerate. Let's see.
And Chris, your comment it did not go lightly. The fentanyl is another of the things.
Oh yeah, but I mean the thing is the war on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
The war on drugs has failed, and they have not created different strategy since like Nancy Reagan said, just say no. I mean, they haven't. I mean, pot is legal, which is fine. The black market for pot is just as booming as it ever was before it was legal.
And will never.
That didn't make any difference whatsoever.
Nope.
Not even close. Where's
nope.
Let me double check. Yeah. I just
in relation to smoking, the tobacco-free bullshitters themselves say that the age of initiation for cigarettes is around 11 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they say that, but they don't do anything, and they've not done anything since at least 1998, I think, is what it is. They've been doing this since 1998. Yakety fucking yak. That's what they've been doing.
They don't care anymore, Kevin. They just want to pretend. They want to show people that they're doing something by doing nothing, which is, you know. But here, look, Ohio has a new plan, Kevin. Ohio, this is your. It's
just where I live. It's not mine.
Your territory.
Yeah, all right, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Some lawmakers want to crack down on tobacco businesses targeting kids. Columbus Bureau reporter Morgan Trow explains how a new bill is aiming to hold sellers accountable.
Who? Sellers. Sellers accountable, kids. Kevin. I mean, obviously, I want the sellers to be accountable, but I also want those sneaky little brats.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna stop I'm gonna keep this on screen, but Chris says, I've seen dozens of anti-vaping commercials and radio ads, but nothing about fentanyl. I wonder why. Well, you may not have been around, Chris, but about 2-3 years ago, we scoured the internet for any public service announcements from any health groups worldwide, not just America, but worldwide, trying to find any anti-cigarette ads, any campaigns. Campaign for tobacco-free kids had already shifted their focus to vaping. No multi-million-dollar campaigns to stop people from smoking. The CDC had stopped. I mean, the last campaign that they had the lady with the trach. That was the last one. That was years prior to this when we did the search. The real cost had shifted away from cigarettes to vaping. In America, we found one UK ad that was anti-smoking.
I agree. Yeah.
And we found a plethora. There was multiple anti-smoking ads in India.
Yes.
But otherwise, there was none. Like, no anti-smoking campaigns in the last 3-4 years. Now, I did recently see a rerun from like 5 years ago of a CDC tobacco-free thing, and then we did obviously see the post on Twitter that I replied to was anti-smoking, but by and large, the anti-smoking campaigns have all like dwindled.
Right.
Now you're asking them to take money away from their anti-vaping stuff to go on the anti-fentanyl. No,
Well, except for Truth's motivated to do that now. I don't know if it's fentanyl specifically, but yeah. Yeah, you get that. Good night, Richard.
Night, Rich.
Steve.
Did you see Steve's face just showed up?
Yes.
Like 2 hours and 3 minutes into the show, and Steve's
And Sandor's point to the 8 million. In 20. Don't quote me on the dates. I've got a meme with the WHO saying it's almost 6. It's 6+ million. It's 7. Now it's 8. 8 million people. But the smoking rates are going down.
Right.
And more people are dying. So that tells me that taxes cause more death. Taxes on cigarettes cause more deaths than smoking.
Well, let's see. I would say that number for drug overdose deaths seems like a low ball estimate to me. I'd have to look it up. I'll look it up after this video. But anyway, let's keep going.
Vaping continues to rise.
We see those numbers going up every year.
Up. She's aged already.
Is that Kathy?
That's Kathy.
That can't be Kathy. That's not her, is it?
That's Kathy.
Year, more and more kids vaping, using tobacco products.
The CDC found that 20% of high schools in Ohio report using some kind of tobacco products. And Kelly Visrol with the Children's Defense Fund says more needs to be done to curb this.
When you're looking at something that's harming a child, I think you have to take a more serious look at it.
And, okay, maybe it's not, but they're calling that lady in the there. I guess that could be her with a different hair color. Maybe.
I don't know.
But she does look like an older version of Kathy.
Hopeful with House Bill 258, which would increase the fines for businesses accused of repeatedly selling tobacco products like vapes to minors. A first offense would cost $250, but as convictions increase, the fines do too, with $1,500 for 4 or more violations.
What this statute is going to do is make the fine part of the misdemeanor sentencing mandatory.
Legal expert Michael Benza explains that courts may oppose this because misdemeanors can carry different punishments, and judges are able to choose what those look like.
Oftentimes in municipal court will say, defendant, I'm going to give you 30 days in jail. But if you choose, you can instead spend 3 days standing in front of Walmart with the sandwich board saying, I stole from Walmart.
I actually like that.
I don't mind.
I liked it. I mean, I like the idea of embarrassing people. So yeah, I mean, if you sell vapes to kids, here's your $250 citation, and for the next 3 days, you got to stand in front of your store with a sandwich board that says, "I sold a vape to a kid."
Let's do a little math. Let's do a little math, though, Patrick.
Okay. All
right. Give me a guess as to an average cost. A child's going to walk in and he's going to purchase a vaping product or liquid or whatever. Say it's $20, right?
Uh-huh.
And he lets 10 kids in and they all get away with it. He's got $200 in a day. Then you got 10 more kids the next day and he gets caught. Well, he's already got the profit, so he can pay the fine.
Right? Yeah, but standing in front of your store for 3 days with a board,
that'll learn you little shits.
I think.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Just
Sandro is he's on the drug thing. So he says more than 1 million people have died since 1999 from drug overdose. That in 2021, 106,000 overdose deaths occurred in the United States. Now, when you're counting, and now we're talking about the entire drug war, sneaking shit into the country, all that. There's even more deaths attributed to the war on drugs than just the number of overdoses. And I do still think that the war on drugs is a horrible failure. Horrible failure.
This statute would eliminate that.
He adds that the financial penalties can cause people who can't afford the fines to spiral into debt, thus leading to more fines and more jail time. Visceral says she understands, but businesses haven't taken the charges seriously.
People tend to take things more seriously when it affects their bottom line. At some point we need to look at, should they be
I know the guy that owns that company that they just
able
showed.
to sell tobacco products at all if they're so careless that they're selling to children over and over and over again.
The bill will likely be heard in the coming months. At the Ohio State House, I'm Morgan Trout reporting.
I don't understand why they don't just require that all tobacco sales require an ID swipe to prove that you check their ID. I think that would solve a lot of problems if these people would just buy ID scanners and attach to the database, and then every time they swipe to buy a pack of cigarettes, swipe. Every time they buy a vape, swipe. Every time they buy liquor, swipe. Be easy. It's a very easy solution for your POS system. Kevin disappeared. Where did Kevin go? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that would be a pretty simple solution. We're going to go to Twitter real quick because Kevin disappeared, and I
like coffee better than I like you. Leave me alone.
Oh, you had to go get coffee. All right. Well, then we'll hold off on the Twitter for a minute, and we'll go back to. We have a rather long video, but we're not going to play the whole video. This is John Dunn, who is head of the UK Vaping Association, being interviewed quite belligerently by a UK newscast lady. Quite belligerently. And we're going to pause this at times to see how you would handle this.
Me?
Yeah, how you personally would handle this, or what could he have done differently? So,
okay, all right.
I'm in awe of the fact that you keep coming on this show, giving what a beating up I give you every time I talk to you for the terrible damage your industry is doing to our teenagers. Defend yourself. It's impossible to.
Well, first of all, young people shouldn't be vaping, as we continue to tell you. And one of the things that we're trying to do is to curb that through penalizing retailers that sell to minors.
So that lady, that newscaster lady, immediately went on the assault.
Yes.
Immediately went on to the assault.
But the fact of the matter is that vaping is the most popular way that adults give up smoking in the UK. And we have 220 people still dying every day from smoking-related diseases. So the idea of banning a product that saves lives is absolutely ridiculous.
John, can I interrupt you right there when you say young people shouldn't be smoking vapes? So why do you have flavours called bubblegum, marshmallow and candy? They're not aimed at 42-year-olds. They're aimed at teenagers or younger.
Well, I beg to differ. Adults like flavours.
No, sorry, John, I don't buy that. I think
Well, I'm sorry.
we've got three parents here.
No, hang on a
They will
second.
not. I don't think they'll agree with you.
Right. Well, I'm 58 years of age and I enjoy gin, and I have two bottles of gin downstairs, one called bubblegum and one called candy floss. So I'm sorry, but adults like flavors, including people like myself.
Does any adult believe this?
We don't have candy floss flavored gin, John. We might have.
So he says he has it.
Right.
Now the woman is arguing him that we don't have it. So, I mean, I would have been like, give me 1 second.
Yeah. That's the first thing I would have
Give
done.
me
Just a
1
minute.
second, and I'm gonna get my assistant to go downstairs, or I'm gonna run downstairs, and I'll be right back because I want to show you that you're an ignorant bitch.
Have grapefruit or rhubarb flavored gin,
Look it
but they're
up.
not marketed at children. You don't routinely buy gin that's Knickerbocker Glory flavored like these vapes are.
You've lost the argument, mate.
Let's look specifically at
No,
this.
absolutely. You should look online. They are all over the place.
You've
You
not
don't-
convinced us.
But the thing is, you don't have to look online for the vapes because they're on the high street and
Yeah.
they're next to sweet
Absolutely.
shops, John. They are marketed to children. They are next to these American.
So just because a building is next to another building, that's somehow marketing. But if you go into a convenience store that has, I don't know, in the UK, do they sell liquor in convenience stores? Our one UK guy went to bed. But in some states in the United States, even not all states, because every state is different, you can buy Jack Daniels at the 7-Eleven. You don't have to
it
go
kinda
to a
makes-
specialty store.
It
And if a
makes me
kid
wonder,
sees
Patrick.
bubblegum vodka,
Yeah. I kind of wonder if there's a correlation between the courthouses and the jails, because like downtown, when you go to court, you're next to the jail, and sometimes you come from the jail. And if that jail's pretty enough, maybe you're inclined to commit more crimes. Is that what they're saying?
I don't know, but I mean,
No,
she's
maybe not.
basically saying that there's American style. Did you see American style candy stores? Like,
right.
Apparently, our candy stores have their own.
The first thing I would have asked her is, what is in your coffee? What kind of coffee do you enjoy?
Do you have hazelnut in your coffee, bitch? Then you like flavors.
Creamer?
American candy shops. So come on, kids, you can buy your candy or you can have your need. Advice mouth cancer in 20 years. Would you?
I think we do know that. I mean, we do know that you're not going to get mouth cancer from vaping. Pretty sure.
They're really not.
Well, first of all, you raise a very good point about where these products are sold.
What?
Nobody's angry with lawmakers and law enforcers. I don't understand.
No. It's always it's the people that have no authority over the enforcement of law that's being blamed here. Like, it's not my job to arrest people. That's the cop's job. That's the government's job.
And one of the things that we've called for is licensing of vape shops. Because you're right in candy shops. They shouldn't be in bar shops like I see every day. And this is why we're calling for the licensing of vape stores. And that has to include robust age verification processes. And we're also calling for fines of up to £10,000 per instance for any vape store or any vape reader caught selling to minors. And right now, the fines
$10,000. That would maybe change your mind about selling. I can get behind that.
Yes, Tony.
Robust age verification. I can agree with that.
But they don't hear that part.
These are absolutely ridiculous. We have one store, for instance, about 4 weeks ago, that was fined £28 by a court for selling to a 14-year-old. Now, that's not right.
That is not right. $28 for a fine for selling to a 14-year-old. They should have lost their ability to do business.
Mm-hmm.
You sell to a 14-year-old, yeah, you should be beat around the head with a sharp spiky stick or something.
Listen, burglaries don't get fixed, don't get solved, and the police aren't fixing crimes such as rapes and assaults.
So apparently, rape and assault and burglary are so bad that the cops are so busy that they can't do enforcement of like less violent and horrible crimes. Apparently, in the UK.
Also, her interrogative reporting sucks by having to go to that extreme to try to pretend to make a fucking point.
I mean,
Wow.
If that's the don't go to the UK, boys and girls, for vacation, because apparently rapes and murders and burglaries are so bad the cops can't do their jobs.
They are not going to waste their time going to knock on the door of a newsagent who sold a vape for a few quid to a 12-year-old. So you might as well just forget that. Just forget it. Stop using that as an excuse. If you go and look at any festival, this summer and see all the teenagers walking around vaping, what does it do to you? What does it do to your industry?
Well, I have never been to a music festival in the UK. I've been to music festivals here in the United States, and there are cops everywhere at these outdoor festivals. You go to, Lollapalooza. I've been to, I was at Ozfest a couple times. I've been to Lollapalooza. I've been to a couple of these music festivals, and there are cops everywhere. And I can tell you, I've been to an outdoor concert here in recent months, and there were cops walking around, and if somebody lit up a cigarette, they were on them like white on rice. I'm telling you, you can't smoke that in here. And there was no vaping.
Also, I suggest from now on, if you know children are vaping and you got cameras and you're in the news world, you should take news camera footage and then show it on the news, and then that way the parents might maybe be able to see their kids vaping on.
Well, I mean, this woman is just saying the cops are so inept in the UK that they can't do their job. That's what she's saying. Right. If I was a law enforcement officer in the UK and I saw this, I would be calling her the next day going, how dare you say that we can't do our jobs good? How dare you?
When you see that, because the horse is bolted.
Absolutely disagree. And first of all, it's not the police's job to go and enforce this. It's trading standards. And one of the things that when I talk to trading standards.
Did you see that, her expression?
Yes.
Her
testicles got smaller. I think so.
They are woefully underfunded. They don't have the resources to do this. And this is why we're calling for this licensing fee and for this fine who penalizes those retailers who are breaking the law, that penalizes them and provides much needed funds for trading standards to do more enforcement. That's the solution to this problem.
And she just went like this.
She's got the button ready to click him off, too.
Not banning a product and creating a huge black market, which will be even worse.
Okay, John, do you know what long-term damage the chemicals involved in vapes do to people's health?
I'm not a scientist, but if you listen to what public health...
Could you answer the question?
Yes, we know that vaping is at least 95% less harmful than smoking.
What about the long-term damage caused by the chemicals?
Users.
John, go back to my question if you don't mind. Do you know the long-term damage?
See, this is
do you?
We do know the long-term. Yes, I do. Yeah. And he's trying to answer, but this.
That's what.
Yeah. See, So this is like a mugging.
Mhm.
This is a mugging on camera. Like they are mugging him.
Of course.
To answer it.
Go on,
if you
then.
actually give me a second
Go
to
on.
answer it, I will.
Go on.
What we do know is we have well over 20 years of data, and all of the leading scientists in the UK that deal with tobacco harm control are all of the same opinion that compared to smoking, vaping is far less harmful for you to do. Absolutely.
But it
He
isn't.
hasn't answered the question.
But I know
John, you
that
haven't
this-
answered the question.
But they aren't. But this isn't about comparing it to smoking. You might say it's the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
But what vaping has allowed is a whole generation of children that were never going to smoke cigarettes because.
Now, how do you know that they were never going to smoke cigarettes? How do you know that?
And they still haven't.
People
Well, they still haven't.
that choose risky behavior choose risky behavior. Regardless of what you think, there will be people who will always smoke. There are always going to be smokers. I don't care what anybody says. This 5% goal that they want to achieve is not going to happen for decades and decades and decades. There will always be people that do this until one day where they shut down every tobacco manufacturer on the planet and they burn every tobacco field and they put armed guards on every farm to prevent people from growing tobacco.
Why are
there
you
will
giving them a plan?
always be smoking. Always. It's always going to be there.
And for the record, this is a smoking friendly show. So there you
Yes.
go.
Now,
by the way,
I have clashed recently with some of our people because I have a different opinion. I believe that people are free to make their own choices, and we, as vaping advocates, should be here to offer them a solution when they decide to make that choice. But people have the right to do what they want to do, and if that means that there's going to be people out there that smoke, that's fine. It's going to happen. We're going to be here to offer them a hand when they decide that they want to quit.
Here's what I think, Patrick.
But I'm not going to force my prohibitionary stance. If I can be against vaping prohibition, I have to be against smoking prohibition as well.
I've never said this out loud, so I'm going to go out on a limb. And hopefully all of you will understand this. I'm not going to try to diminish anything. I'm just giving an example of how I think. In Alcohol Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous, I've transported hundreds of people in that program, and they've said, "Well, I'm still an alcoholic. I just don't drink." Right. So in that same vein, or happiness or sadness, whatever it is you have in that situation, I too am always going to be a smoker. I no longer smoke. That's all. To me. So if you can go that way with your brain for a second, just for a second, and think that their choice is very similar to what your choice used to be, stop telling them what the fuck to do. You just offer them a solution, or multiple: snooze, hypnosis, books. It doesn't matter. None of it works for everybody. None of it. So that's my I'll get off the soapbox.
So I mean, in addiction treatment and addiction, harm reduction, whatever you want to call it, the first rule, the main encompassing theory is meet them where they are.
Absolutely.
Whether that's in treating heroin addicts, whether that's in treating cocaine addicts, crack addicts, nicotine addicts, whatever you want to call it, you meet them where they are, not where you are, not where you're standing. You go to where they are and you help them where they are and try to help them make better choices. But again, you cannot enforce control. There's that C word, control. That's what they want. They want control of all of your choices.
Absolute autonomy.
Free will is not part of it. These are public health groups, governments, nanny staters, people like Bloomberg that think that they know what you need, and they're only going to give you the option of what they think you need.
What's best for you?
If it makes them a couple dollars, that's what they want. But anyway, let's keep going. I wasn't going to play the whole thing, but it is entertaining.
Because that was one of the biggest public health triumphs we've ever seen in this country. Across the world, Tony Blair did a lot wrong, but banning smoking in public places was the one thing that he did right.
So Tony Blair was the prime minister of England for like 10 years or something. He was there for a long time. And you're telling me the only thing he did good that whole time was banning smoking in public places?
Well, 10 years. It took him a while.
He was the PM during the Gulf War. He helped. I mean, a lot of people in the UK were unhappy that he sent troops as part of the coalition. All sort, he was unpopular because he apparently was young and was in a rock band at some point or something. He was
gasp. Oh, yeah. Gasp. Out loud gasp.
It was gone. There was a generation that weren't into nicotine. And thanks to vaping, you've now got a whole new profitable generation coming through who will never smoke a cigarette. They'll always smoke vape if we're not careful as parents.
Smoke vapes. I didn't call this earlier when she said it, but this is a woman that's got a dick up her ass, and she's just gonna ride it.
Parents.
I think you really need to go and look at Action for Smoking the Health's publication that they just brought out, the myth-busting around the misconceptions about vaping. And some of the interesting things they point out that, that vaping is neither more harmful nor addictive than smoking, and it's not a proven gateway to smoking. I would advise your listeners.
I agree with you. It isn't a gateway to smoking, but what it is, it's a gateway to a lifetime addiction to nicotine and vaping and spending money on something that these kids can't afford and don't need.
But the majority of vapers in this country are ex-smokers. In fact, the median age for a disposable... Hang on a second. The median age for a disposable user in this country is 36 years of age, and that's based on 5 million transactions.
John, just remind us, who owns most of the vape production? What companies own
independent vape?
How many companies like British American Tobacco? How many vaping products do they own?
There's only about 2 tobacco companies that actually produce vaping products. The majority of vaping products are sold and marketed by independent companies, not tobacco companies.
Right.
John, I tell you.
You see that?
Imagine.
You see that? Right.
You're running out of shit to do, aren't you, Zippy?
I admire the fact that you come on here and put up a defense. I really do. And I think it's pretty clear where we both stand on this, but thank you so much for your time.
So,
if
this is the, short of, he did other than not being able to force his way into the, I would have probably used a louder voice than what he did. But he refuted almost everything that they said. Yeah. But I would have. John Dunn knows at this point that they're going to bring up flavors.
It's a hatchet job, yeah.
They're going to bring up flavors. I would have probably had my gin, my flavored gin, right beside me.
No, you know what I would have?
Look, you say this doesn't exist. Here it is right here. I bought it at the convenience store right beside, right across from the cashier where the fucking candy and gum is on the. If you're bitching about this, I hate to do that. I hate.
I don't.
I hate when
I do it a
somebody
different way
in the vaping. I hate it when the people in the vaping world go, well, but they sell adult flavored, vodkas and blah blah blah.
If you stop doing, if those people stop pissing Patrick off. Here's what you do. Adults don't like flavors. Oh, could you explain to me how many flavors there are at Starbucks? I believe it's about 80,000
No, I'm gonna
variations.
I'm gonna get that video of Nancy Pelosi opening that Sub-Zero freezer she has full of fucking Talenti.
The C word is going to come out of my mouth. Yes, Michelle, zippy is a select word I like to use for people like Tom Frieden and a couple others. Zippy.
So let's do the Kevin's X post of the week.
X post of the week. Fake. Did we get Mike to do our thing yet?
No.
The Vape God tweet of the week. You want to pull it up, or you want me to pull it up?
I got it up.
My testicles are shrinking, so I don't know if I can.
The Vape Cat's tweet of the
week.
Or
It
X
was-
post.
it was a bit-
X post of the week.
Now, if you all take your attention for a moment down right to there, you trust but verify. You trust but verify. And the reason I say that is because of the Thunder Down Under's tweet. Not the year-old or 2-year-old YouTube link to the Reg Watch with Dr. Brad Rodu, which is highly recommended. I thought you were doing that. That's me covering it up. If Brad Rodu says it, you can believe it. Full stop. Now, I was questioned earlier about this because it's a year and a half or 2 years after whatever it was tweet or subject matter.
Well,
the subject of the tweet is what the tweet is about. Now,
so
the reason I say this is because if you, Patrick, saw Dr. Glover tweet something that says whatever it says, you're going to tend human nature because you trust her. You may retweet it and then read the article. Am I wrong?
Actually, I retweet a lot of stuff that I don't read from people that I trust.
Okay, and honestly, this is from a a message from months ago where something was sent to me, and then I went and did a tweet or thing, X or whatever it was at the time, and then I read it, but I was questioning, how did you read that so fast? Well, I didn't. I just trusted you.
Yeah, there are people
automatic.
If Mara
Right,
tweet something, I'm going to retweet it. If Kevin retweets something or tweets something, I might retweet it. There are, if Brian Foytik tweets something 9 times out of 10, I'm going to retweet it. So
more than that. But
yeah.
But that was the point of how far do we trust each other?
Right.
Because we do, but
Yes.
we don't trust these other fuckers like the news.
Because we have developed bonds over time.
Right. Yeah, there's a general acceptance of
since
things.
Some of you may not have watched this without the permission of Reg Watch and without Brent's permission. I have taken a few minutes of this video that Bruni retweeted that Kevin has highlighted as his favorite tweet of the week. So I'm going to play a segment of the video and we will pause and talk.
Is about as safe as another widely consumed addictive drug called caffeine. It's available in coffee. There are lots of people addicted to it, but long-term consumption of caffeine results in virtually no serious health effects.
Now, to be clear, this is Dr. Brad Rodu. Dr. Brad Rodu has spent 20 years in tobacco studies. He is a subject matter expert. He is he's written, published peer-reviewed studies. He's a smart guy, and he is a defender of tobacco harm reduction. He is a fellow in the School of Tobacco Harm Reduction, yada, yada, yada. He has tons of credentials. He is a brilliant man who has years of experience behind him.
Lots of smokeless in his repertoire.
Lots of oral tobacco products he's studied. Yeah.
That's what we know about nicotine. It's not the same drug. It doesn't affect the brain in the same way, but we think that the lack of serious health effects is almost equivalent to those of caffeine. And I've been saying this with no one pushing back since 1994.
So he's been saying that nicotine is on the same health risk, same continuum of risk as caffeine since 1984. You say 84 or 94? 94. And no scientific pushback, no pushback from any experts that say, because obviously if nicotine is safe in other forms that are FDA approved, then it can't be that bad because, you know, they've approved those products. Yeah, duh.
So if you're an adult of majority age and you are not a smoker and you for some reason decided that you wanted to pick up a mild nicotine habit, is there anything wrong with that?
I don't see any major problem with people who find benefit from using nicotine in a smoke-free distribution system. I don't see a major impact with that. Not with all the other health concerns that health professionals worry about with respect to our patients.
You know, we hear all the time, and it's growing actually, the voices on this, is that nicotine harms developing brains.
Yes, we hear that. And my response has been that there's actually, outside of some animal models where they overload developing mice with big doses of nicotine, outside of that, there is virtually no human evidence that nicotine has affected brain development. And let me give you an example. We have 30 million adult smokers in the United States. We have somewhere about double that, 60, 70 million former smokers. It has never been shown anything clinically that those current or former smokers are different in any way from their non-smoking, lifelong non-smoking counterparts. There's no evidence for it at all. I think nicotine is a...
Wow.
What? Oh my God. You know, this is the same one where he talks about the Heart Association, right? And the 450,000 or whatever.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that...
Development. And let me give you an example. We have 30 million adult smokers in the United States. We have somewhere about double that, 60, 70 million former smokers. It has never been shown anything clinically that those current or former smokers are different in any way from their non-smoking, lifelong non-smoking counterparts. There's no evidence for it at all.
There.
What say you, you bastards? What say you?
So let's see the science that shows the brains of smokers.
Where?
Compared to lifelong non-smokers, and let's see. There's no science that shows that there's any change in brain function at all. No difference.
There's that interview is probably one of the best interviews I've seen. Not because I have the man crush. It's just there's so much information he's handing him, and to give credit where it's due, he's getting from him, and asking the questions the way he does. And Dr. Rodu is giving what anybody else could if they chose to, but they don't. They would prefer an interviewer of Zippy and Mitzi there in the UK rip some guy's ass. That's what they want. That's what the public needs to see, not Dr. Rodu. Leave Dr. Rodu alone. Don't bring him up on fucking regular. He's been on national TV for a long time, but he has been. And they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear Dave Gorlitz. They don't want to hear this stuff. Millions and millions and millions of people, literally, virtually no difference. Virtually
virtually no
Virtually
difference.
nothing.
They can't find any difference at all.
Now,
so
what he did say was it is as addictive as caffeine. I like the word dependence. He used the word addiction. So he's got one bad mark against him.
I'm not even gonna go there because the nomenclature. I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm addicted to chocolate." The word addicted doesn't mean anything anymore
because it's tossed around. Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything anymore. So my tweet of the week was from today, and this is heralding the brilliance of our people in Sweden, our friends in Sweden.
What?
Yes.
Do we have any Sweden friends?
No, well, no, but we have some Scandinavian friends. But so this is from Smoke Free Alternatives.
Yep.
Why is Sweden so far ahead of the rest of the world? They gave the smokers a choice of an alternative. They educated smokers on the available options. Low excise duties on low-risk products. African governments' policies aren't working. They need to go to Sweden. And it was also announced today that's the tax thing. They increased the tax on deadly products and reduced the products on safer products. So
can you imagine?
Can
you imagine?
That's a brilliant move by our friends over there in the Nordic lands. This product's going to kill you, so we're gonna tax you a little bit higher. This product's safer, so we're going to tax you, but not nearly as high.
Right.
We're
gonna have to sign Ed's parole.
A great model: caffeine, nicotine, benzodrine, and wish me luck. Jay Reed, the snowman.
That's right. You have to sign his parole paper for him again. He came to class.
He showed up late as always.
All right.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So
it's fine.
We have two video things that we're gonna go and do over
on the Rumbles thingy, Bob.
On the Rumbles, because
the doohickey Bob.
Yes, we're near the end of our content for tonight. So say goodbye to all the non-rumblers, the people that don't want to go to Rumble. But let me slap for the people that haven't ever been to Rumble before. I'm gonna throw the Rumble link into the chat so that if you're not already on Rumble, you can go and watch the Rumble and join the Rumble. It's.
I'm gonna do a quick reading so I can continue to deal with you.
We'll see y'all over there in a few minutes, but let me pick a stinger here. Let's pick a video clip for our friends to go out with. It needs to be short, but not too short.
Choppy.
We'll do a Charlie one. This is 1 minute and 21 seconds long.
Oh.
So we'll see you in 1 minute and 21 seconds over on the Rumbles.
Hydrate.
Yeah.
But then you've got people on the other side saying, well, but experts disagree, which is a kind of typical merchants of doubt tactic. And the same will be said for nicotine benefits in Tourette's syndrome, ADHD, autism, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, et cetera, et cetera. In fact, a lot of research is looking at cross-sectional studies that find associations and trying to claim that nicotine causes those things.
They want to
when all logic says that people with those things are using nicotine because it helps them, but so we're going to face that. But I mean, one of the ways to deal with this is to get people to tell their personal stories. I should be the last one to ask anyone to do that. Why? Because an adult living with ADHD is already stigmatized.